But our top story that's breaking at the moment, there has been a huge mid-air scare for an IndiGo flight that was traveling a short while ago from Delhi to Srinagar. This amidst a major hailstorm and thunderstorms across North India. The flight has just landed safely, but after a major scare in which its nose has been broken. The flight landed in Srinagar after plenty of turbulence caused by a hailstorm. And as you can see from the visuals, the flight's nose was broken. This is amidst a day when several parts of North India have witnessed hailstorms and bad weather, including heavy rain. That rain has also spread to other parts of the country, including Pune and parts of Gujarat. As of now, all crew members and passengers are safe. A TMC delegation that was going on a visit to Kashmir was also on this flight when this turbulent hit the aircraft. The IndiGo flight hit by turbulence. All passengers safe, but the plane has been severely damaged. Joining me at this moment is our correspondent in Srinagar, Mir Farid, joins me with the very latest. Mir, when we look at those pictures, clearly it was a traumatic experience and a lucky escape. Tell us more of what you have found out at the moment, and is the weather clearing up?
Rajdeep, terrifying experience for close to 227 passengers who were on board this flight 6C2142 that had left Delhi, and all was fine till it reached Jammu. And when it entered Srinagar airspace, it's being told that it flew into rough weather, and there was turbulence and there was chaos inside the flight. The turbulence lasted for at least 7 to 8 minutes. But Rajdeep, as the plane landed in Srinagar, it was clear that it was not a normal turbulence, but the plane was damaged. The nose was badly damaged, and it seems that the pilot managed this in a very tactful manner and somehow brought the plane down. In fact, over Srinagar skies, he had already alerted the ATC, saying that it was an emergency. So all the arrangements were made by the Srinagar airport on the runway, including emergency vehicles, ambulances, etc. So they were preparing for the worst,
injured.
But thankfully it landed safely and all the passengers are safe. Rajdeep?
So no one injured, all the passengers are safe, but that is the turbulence that was witnessed just a short while ago on the IndiGo flight. We can tell you across the country we are getting visuals now of thunderstorms that have taken place, lightning in several parts. Remember, we are only in the third week of May, but already several parts of the country have witnessed very heavy rain today. And what we've just seen with those visuals coming in from that IndiGo flight, damage mid-flight during a hailstorm, reveals the extent of the kind of weather that several parts of the country are witnessing today. Heavy rains lashing large parts of North India, of Gujarat, of Pune, and hailstorm in Srinagar, leading to that flight having a very narrow escape. So that's the big story at the moment. The good news, of course, as Mir Farid explained today, is that all the passengers are safe. Okay, let's move on then from there to the other story that we are tracking. Top Maoist leader Basava Raju has been killed in a Chhattisgarh encounter. The CPI Maoist General Secretary was killed in a shootout in Chhattisgarh. Basava Raju's death was confirmed by Home Minister Amit Shah. The Maoist is among the NIA's most wanted, with a bounty of 1 crore rupees on him. Let me get more from our correspondent in Raipur. Sumi Rajapan now joins us. Sumi, the centre is claiming a major victory, and this comes on a day when we are told as many as 27 Naxals have been killed in this firefight with the police. Can you give us more details, particularly about why the importance of Basava Raju?
Chhattisgarh, and especially for the DRG unit, which is the specialized unit of Chhattisgarh force, and it was a joint operation by the DRG of 4 districts: Sukma, Narayanpur, Bijapur, and also Bastar. This was a joint operation led by the DRG units of all these districts, and they led this operation for more than 50 hours, in which 27, as you pointed out, 27 Naxals were neutralized. However, in this, a major name is definitely the Nambala Keshav Rao. He used to to go by the moniker Basva Raju. He happened to become the General Secretary of the CPIM, and he was one of the top Maoist commando, and he was elevated as the General Secretary in 2018. And this particular man who played instrumental, roles in various Naxal attacks back in the day in Chhattisgarh has been neutralized, successfully neutralized. In fact, it was informed by the Union Home Minister Amit Shah when he took to the social media platform X to congratulate the armed forces. He also informed the media about how this guy was successfully neutralized. So certainly it's a big day, and he was carrying a bounty of 1 crore. And this guy has played, as I said, instrumental roles in many of the attacks, including the 2013 Jhiram Act and also the 2010 Dantewada incident in which more than 76 CRPF personnel lost their lives. And this guy was born in Andhra Pradesh back in 1995. He joined the movement back in the 1980s, and since then he was elevated as the General Secretary. So it is certainly the major significant blow in the insurgency movement. And as we're moving forward to, slowly inching towards March 2026, certainly BJP's government under the leadership of Vishnudev Sai here in Chhattisgarh is inching close to the Naxal Mukt Bharat Abhiyan.
Okay, Sumi Rajapan joining us with those details, that major Naxal encounter that took place earlier today in Chhattisgarh. Let's turn from there to the other big story and our talking point tonight. The Supreme Court today granted bail to Ashoka University Professor Ali Khan Mahmudabad. The professor had been arrested based on a complaint by the Haryana Women's Commission Chief Renu Bhatia and a BJP Yuva Morcha Sarpanch. The women's panel had claimed that Ali Khan's social media posts on Operation Sindoor insulted Colonel Sophia Qureshi, who had held government press briefings. A number of professors had come out in solidarity with Ali Khan, saying he was being unnecessarily targeted only for expressing his opinion. Today's Supreme Court bail order contains many riders raising questions over the right to free speech. A report from Anisha Mathur.
Two social media posts landed Ashoka University professor Ali Khan Mahmudabad in jail, facing charges of sedition, outraging modesty of women by allegedly attacking the two officers, the faces of Operation Sindoor. What resulted was a nationwide debate. What was it that professor said? Was it an assault on academic expression? Was it an assault on freedom of speech? On Wednesday, the top court, the bench of justices Surya Kant and N. Koteshwar Singh, granted interim bail but also schooled Professor Khan. Why make political comment during national crisis? You claim freedom of expression. What about duty to nation? Why veer into politics? Why gain cheap popularity on this occasion? This is what is called dog whistling. You have a right to express without hurting others. Use terms which is simple, respectful and not hurtful to others. Why make a social media statement at all? The Supreme Court in its order did grant interim bail, but also said Supreme Court gagged Professor Khan to not post or write on the issue. No comment to be made by Professor on the terror attack recently faced by the country. Haryana to set up 3-member SIT. Police to clarify what statement insulted women. The court also questioned the Haryana government. Where is the statement in the post which insulted women officers? The government lawyer did not have any answers and asked for time. The same bench on Monday had passed an order in the case of MP Minister Vijay Shah, who communally charged public speech was criticized heavily. The same bench had directed the Madhya Pradesh police to set up an SIT to investigate the case against the Tribal Affairs Minister of Madhya Pradesh, but did not pass any gag order like with Professor Khan. Professor Mahmudabad will likely to be released from jail late Thursday, and the court will take up his plea against the FIR now on Friday. In the meantime, the Haryana police have questioned foreign travel by the Oxford-educated professor and asked for his bank details and passport. While the top court's order giving interim relief to Professor Khan but also cracking down on him for his posts leaves a larger question to be addressed. What impact will the court's order have on freedom of expression in India?
Interim bail granted, but with a gag order and now an SIT investigation. This case has thrown up serious questions of freedom of expression and how courts are interpreting comments made during a national crisis. In New Delhi, this is Anisha Mathur for India Today.
So let's raise the big questions. Is free speech way too restricted in this country? Are authorities being allowed to get away too easily with abuse of power when they arrest people? Should judges be doing much more to protect free speech? Is anti-government opinion now equated with anti-national views? Let's get straight to our talking point. Joining me now on our talking point, three special guests joined by Dushyant Dave, Senior Supreme Court Advocate, by Professor Surajit Majumdar, President of the Jawaharlal Nehru University Teachers Association, and by Rashmi Samant. She is an author activist based in Udupi. I appreciate all three of you joining us. Dushyant Dave, straight to you first. How do you see the SC observations in this Ali Khan case? Because while granting him interim bail, they put severe restrictions on his right to free speech, virtually a gag order, and also passed several observations virtually suggesting why make a political comment during national crisis? You claim freedom of expression. What about duty to nation? Use terminology which is simple, respectful, not hurtful to others. Why make a social media statement at all? Why gain cheap popularity on this occasion? This is what is called dog whistling. When I look at these observations, it seems Justice Suryakant and Koteshwar Singh want a restricted right to free speech. Your comment?
I agree with you completely. I don't think judges have done service to the institution of Supreme Court by first passing an order yesterday not to arrest the minister from Madhya Pradesh and then to pass this order in respect of the Professor Ali. I think these two orders are surprising, unfortunate, and personally to me extremely sad, because I respect and admire both Justice Suryakant and Justice Koteshwar Singh. And therefore, coming from them, these kind of diverse orders are completely unacceptable to my mind as a lawyer. Really is, I think, quite shocking to my conscience. And I really cannot find any reason, fathom any reason why judges have done what they have done, including making these observations. See,
but Mr. Dave, in the case of the minister, Madhya Pradesh minister, Mr. Shah, the judges said it's a national shame and ordered an SIT. In the case of Ali Khan, they're also ordering an SIT and saying you have a limited right to free expression, you can't use social media. It almost seems as if, of course, in one case you will arrest an individual, in the other an apology is enough. But both the cases, the judges seem to believe that there is no unrestricted right to free expression. And comparing Ali Khan to Mr. Shah in the first instance seems a bit bizarre to me. One was communally loaded and one is someone who's expressing his opinion without making any sexist remarks.
See, fundamental rights are natural rights. They are basic human rights that citizens have. But 19(1) is very beautifully worded. 19 begins by saying all citizens shall have right. Then subclause A says to freedom of speech and expression. So the right is to freedom of speech and expression, underlying the words freedom. Now that freedom, according to me, means right to express one's convictions, one's opinions, and freely. And nobody really can take away that right except what falls under sub-article 2 of Article 19. There are only 8 restrictions there. And those restrictions are sovereignty, integrity, public decency, morality, friendly relations of the country, contempt of court, those 8 restrictions. What judges have said today is very unfortunate, because merely because there is, some kind of an atmosphere of war. There was no actual war. There were skirmishes. But at a time like this, if Professor Ali thought it fit, while complimenting 2 of our most brilliant officers who were involved in press briefings on behalf of the nation, statement by Prime Minister to introduce Colonel Qureshi and Wing Commander Singh was an outstanding statement. It gave a great message to the world about professionalism of the army, about the role of the women in the army, about secularism in the country. Now that message was destroyed by the minister from MP, and that message was echoed very positively by Professor Ali. But he expressed his anguish that the situation in the country prevailing today requires equality, because you can't just have, semantics and optics, but you must really on the ground have protection for the Muslims. He talked about equality. There's nothing.
So you're saying you cannot draw an analogy between the statements made by the minister and that made by the professor. But Rashmi Samant, why do you believe that it is right to send out a message to the professor? Why do you and others from the right wing believe in a way that Professor Khan had crossed a line, or do you believe he crossed a line?
Well, Rajdeep, firstly, I see that you drew a quite distinction between the BJP leader and Professor Ali Khan by saying that the BJP leader was communally loaded. In that case, I think we should be asking questions like, can those who benefit from judicial leniency that arguably compromised national security interests, by which I mean the Enemy Property Act, rightfully critique military operations designed to protect those very interests? So if you go after backgrounds and try to, create distinctions between two people who are being wrapped for something connected to operations.
Are you telling me that because Ali Khan, Mahmudabad's father, fought the Enemy Property Act, his grandfather was part of a pre-partition Muslim League, he must bear the cross? That you will question his patriotism because his name is Khan?
Well, that's not the reason, Rajdeep. I mean, as long as he continues to disown what his grandfather did, but I don't see any statements, or I've never seen anything that he's done through his very active political life and activism that in any way indicates that he condones the partition. So I think
how is that a crime? How is that a crime in any way? He may have his political views. One person was expressing, you can disagree with the views of Ali Khan, Mahmudabad, but how does it come as a crime? Where is he outraging the modesty of a woman, as the Haryana State Women's Commission said? Where is he showing that, where is he compromising national integrity? I want to understand. It almost seems as if because his name is Khan and because his grandfather was in the pre-partition Muslim League, he must bear the cross for it?
Sorry, I don't think because he's Khan, he's being, unfairly targeted in this country. In fact, the Supreme Court did rule in his favor, and he was able to recover a large chunk of that fortune when they fought a couple of litigations. So you can't just say that it's because he's Khan, he's being targeted. The SIT probe is being rightfully put across both the BJP leader and Ali Khan. So, there's no question of whether the second name is Khan.
No, what according to you, you tell me what according to you is a violation of the law. What is it that Ali Khan said which according to you violates the law of the land? Give me a straight answer to that.
Rajdeep, it is what Ali Khan did. He was summoned by the Women's Commission and he refused to turn up, not once but twice. And the State Women's Commission has equivalent rights of that of a civil court. Why is he not turning up? Is he still? Does he?
How is that a crime? Please tell me, how is that a crime under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita not to turn up before the Haryana State Women's Commission? How does that become a crime that justifies immediate arrest?
If you refuse to turn up, then the Women's Commission chairperson will come and inspect the premises. She did that. She went to Ashoka University, but when she failed to get any response whatsoever from him.
What are you going to inspect? The professor's Facebook post is out there. I am asking you, please tell me what according to you is a crime in that post. Where has he abused the modesty of women? Where has he gone against national unity and sovereignty?
He
is making a point that the hypocrisy of the same right wing that celebrates Colonel Sophia Qureshi will endorse mob lynching, or doesn't speak up for Avengers mob lynching.
You do not want to consider. There's a secondary FIR made by a sarpanch, an elected sarpanch in Sonipat, and he does not just allude to social media posts. He says that Professor Ali Khan in person spoke to him and 4 other people, one of whom is named in the FIR, the secondary FIR, on which the police also took action. And I think
it's for the sarpanch who's a BJP Yuva Morcha leader. Madam, a BJP sarpanch makes a complaint and the police has nothing better to do than immediately arrest someone. Should there have been a due process, no investigation by the police before you arrest someone?
Representatives of this country. He's an elected representative. He's is a sarpanch. So you cannot,
Where is the due process followed? Where is the due process followed, ma'am? A sarpanch makes a complaint, thousands of complaints are made. Arrests don't take place instantly in this country. In this case, they took place within 24 hours of the complaint.
Sorry, but the complaint happened a week ago, and he refused to turn up at the summons of the Haryana State Women's Commission, and the State Women's Commission has equivalent rights to that of a civil court as per the Indian Constitution. So she has the rights to escalate the matter if a man who she thinks has crossed a certain line of decency and has made offensive comments refuses to turn up and explain himself to the commission. He could have just
before I go to
Rashmi,
can you show me the line where he has crossed the limits of decency? Please show me the line. I have the Facebook post.
I do not have access to what speech he made to the Sarpanch in Sonipat. I think that's for the SIT to find out. That's for the SIT to establish what he...
No. The Haryana State Women's Commission said that he had abused the modesty of the women. Please show me a line where he has done so.
Well, there's a secondary FIR where it said that he said some things in person, and I have no access whatsoever.
Ma'am, I'm asking, so you agree that there is nothing in the Facebook post that offends the modesty of women, yes or no?
In the Facebook post that he made, he said that the press conference being made by the women colonels were actually just optics, and it was some sort of an illusion. And I think that's very disrespectful.
That's his view. That's his view. How is that derogatory?
It's my view that it's derogatory towards women, especially in professions such as the army, such as the armed forces, and that all he had to do was turn up at the summons and explain himself. The escalation has happened because he refuses to participate. He refuses to participate in process.
Let me take that to Professor Majumdar. Professor Majumdar, you and other academics have come out strongly in his support, even as Ashoka University has remained silent, surprisingly or not surprisingly so. Your view, as Rashmi says, the Ali Khan could have appeared before the Women's Commission or the Haryana Police and sorted out the matter. His not appearing before the summons was reason, therefore, for them to act.
Well, the point that is to be understood here is that he is not being prosecuted for the simple reason that he did not appear before the Haryana Commission for Women. That's not the offence for which he is being really prosecuted. The point to understand is that I would say that I do not know what the Supreme Court justices today will say finally in what is called a reasoned order. And we'll have to wait for that reasoned order to respond in a comprehensive fashion. But if the observation was made that there is no prima facie basis, to stay the investigation, I would say that I would most humbly disagree. Given the statements that he has made are in public, if a reading of those statements leads to any conclusion that someone can be criminally prosecuted, then I'm afraid that
they're accusing him, Professor, they're accusing him of dog whistling. They're saying he is guilty of dog whistling. By raising, in a way, minority victimhood, he is dog whistling. That's the charge made. These are politically loaded comments, but it's dog whistling is what the charge is.
No, politically loaded comments are not impermissible under the law. Politically loaded comments.
The judges go even further and say this is dog whistling.
So many people make. I would say that if they have referred to the duty, there is in the fundamental duties of the spirit of inquiry and reform is to be embraced. And this applies to academics more than to anyone else in this country. How are they to embrace that duty?
You're saying he was exercising his academic freedom. Am I correct? You're saying he was exercising his right to academic freedom. That is the danger, Dushyant Dave, isn't it? Because if judges now start interpreting statements according to their political judgment, whether you can say something during times of national security, what can you say? Is it politically surcharged? We are entering very dangerous terrain. It will lead to severe restriction of the right to free speech, Mr. Dave.
I agree with you completely. The problem, Judge Rajdeep, these days is that it is sad and unfortunate that the judges have started making completely irresponsible observations. It never used to happen in good old days. I mean, in the 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s, judges would not have, made these kind of observations which are being made today. I mean, these observations that the court made today were wholly unwarranted and unjustified, if I may say so, with utmost respect to Justice Suryakant and Justice Singh, whom I respect very highly.
Why do you think they made them then?
It shocks me, and I have seen that this is becoming now a habit in many judges to make irresponsible observations during court hearings. And that's not good for the institution. Judges should only speak through their judgments and their orders. They should not speak through their observations. And now what is happening is that the judges also like the media covering them, ball by ball. And therefore, they make these observations many a times, which is unfortunate. That discipline of the judiciary is gone. But what is more important, Rajdeep, is this, that across the country today, the judiciary is unable to decipher between a right case and a wrong case. And it is the duty of the judiciary that when FIRs are filed and police brings the alleged accused before them, first to see whether there is any case made out or not. If case is not made out, you can't give remand. You cannot order judicial custody or, give it to the police. So unfortunately, the judges are just not willing to see. And I am shocked that the magistrate who is supposed to know the constitution doesn't know Article 19(1)(a). There must be at least 1,000 judgments of the Supreme Court on Article 19(1)(a), which guarantee, in fact, Supreme Court itself has said brilliantly in one judgment, I forget that judgment, I think it was LIC versus Manubai in 1992 or 93, where Supreme Court said that this right is very jealously guarded by the Supreme Court. Now, these judges today have forgotten that, a statement made by the Supreme Court and law laid down by the Supreme Court. I mean, far from guarding it jealously, the judges are making all these comments and saying that we are giving you bail, but your passport will be impounded, investigation will go on. This FIR, as a lawyer, I can tell you, has no legs to stand.
We've seen, though, FIRs filed by police administrations across states, irrespective of parties. We've had the likes of Ketki Chitre, who was arrested because of a social media post on Sharad Pawar. We've seen YouTubers being arrested, cartoonists arrested in Bengal. So this seems to have become a national epidemic. But Rashmi Sawant, you were claiming that Ali Khan was arrested, or one of the reasons, because he didn't appear before the summons sent to him. May I ask you your views on Mr. Shah, Mr. Vijay Shah, the BJP minister, who made the most commonly loaded sexist remarks? Do you believe such a person should be in office? No action is taken against him. Then the entire right-wing ecosystem protects him.
No one's protecting him, Rajdeep. In fact, there's an SIT probe on him as well, and the Supreme
Court... What is the
Court
SIT going to find out? It is transparent. I mean, it almost seems as if the police are unemployed. You need an SIT. His statements are in the public domain.
Do you feel that there should be
not
no
have been sacked? Rashmi, should he not have been sacked on day one?
Due process. Do you think there should be
should
no
he have
process?
Been sacked or not?
Should be sacked just based on the kangaroo court of, public opinion and news debates? No, there should be due process, even if he needs to be...
So no due process for Ali Khan, who goes to jail, who spends 2 days in police custody, 1 day in judicial custody, while all that Mr. Shah needed was an apology?
His apology wasn't accepted, and there is an SIT probe on him.
That apology was not accepted after a suo motu FIR was filed by the Madhya Pradesh High Court, madam.
Summons was sent to him. The other man follows the rule of law, but despite that, his apology wasn't accepted, as it shouldn't be accepted, because the statements that he made were extremely insensitive, and we all criticize it, and we all believe that he deserves what's coming his way. But the SIT probe must establish that, because we cannot let this country become a kangaroo court of, public opinion deciding.
No, I agree that we cannot let I agree with you there. We cannot let the country become a kangaroo court, but we also cannot allow the police to function in an arbitrary manner, where in one case they will go and summarily arrest someone, in the other case, because the person is a minister, he will not be touched.
The police is compelled to escalate in case a common citizen refuses to follow the rule of law. Even in civil courts, when someone's summoned and they refuse to, turn up, then there is escalatory action. There will be escalation if people refuse to follow the rule of law. Professor Ali Khan refused to turn up when summons were sent to him not once but twice. Despite that, the chairperson of the State Women's Commission went to Ashoka University on an inspection to speak to him, but he wasn't present there.
So
after
you don't
these
agree that the basic difference between between Ali Khan and Shah is one person's surname is Shah and the other person's surname is Khan. You don't
Not at
agree
all,
with that,
Rajdeep.
right?
This is the issue that you're making. I have equivalent problem with both of them. I think both of them are misogynistic and they made insensitive comments that they shouldn't have been making. And people
Surajit
in
Majumdar?
positions of power and influence should be very careful of what they say, because this is a mature democracy. So they need to be careful about what they say.
Should an academic be careful? Surajit Majumdar, should an academic be careful of what he or she says?
Almost everything that Ms. Sawant has said,
Every citizen has a right.
Interpreted as having double meaning, as having some other intent behind it. But none of us is saying that she should be put into jail because of that. That's the point. You can disagree with Ali Khan, you can debate his position, but the question is, did he do anything which constitutes an offense under Indian constitution and Indian law? If he did not, and that is evident from any reasonable reading of his posts, that he did not say anything which constitutes an offense under Indian law. If the Indian constitution is being sought to be rewritten in the process, it's a different matter. But as the constitution as it stands today, nothing that is said constitutes an offense. I can disagree, anyone can disagree with him and debate with him. Why not debate? Why should
that's the point. That's the point, Rashmi. Why not debate? You and Ali Khan come to the studio, debate. That's the way democracies function. It's in an autocracy where the police suddenly goes and arrests. Do you agree that his arrest is prima facie an abuse of power, as the National Human Rights Commission has said today? It's an abuse of power. Yes or no? That if I say something against the government, I can be arrested.
Respectfully, Rajdeep, he was asked, he was summoned to explain himself. The very debate that you're talking
Rajdeep,
about.
you are hearing the same song again and again.
Because you refuse to understand what I'm trying to say here. There will be escalation in any process.
By Women's Commission has no sanctity. What
they
is this?
Do have sanctity.
Anybody can be summoned.
To a civil court.
No. Nobody. Everybody has a right not to go when summoned. This is not a criminal.
They do have the right to summon. They do have the right to summon.
Rashmi, just a minute. I just want to therefore ask you, Dushyant, in conclusion, is this therefore a case, as the NHRC is saying, a prima facie abuse of power? How can it be checked? Today it's happened to Ali Khan, and therefore it's become a national issue. But as I said, across the country, there are individuals whoever is in power, if they speak against them, they are summoned, they can be arrested. We are seeing it time and again. Is there a solution, Dushyant?
See, before I answer to that, I must say one thing, Rajdeep. The press briefings by Colonel Qureshi and Wing Commander Singh was a moment of great pride and joy for this country. And I'm so happy government did it, because it sent very powerful messages to the world. Now, if the minister of Madhya Pradesh government makes such seditious, disparaging, defamatory statements against not just a woman officer, but against the army and against calling her a terrorist, the Prime Minister owed a duty to the country to step in and should have ordered his sacking, should have ordered that FIR be lodged against him. It's not enough. What is this on SIT? Frankly, I'm shocked that Supreme Court has constituted an SIT to look into the charge which has apparently, not forget prima facie, categorically and clearly seditious. And that man must, face the consequences. So Supreme Court's intervention is frankly deeply disappointing.
No, but if one case is seditious and the other is not, how are we going to ensure that there isn't an abuse of power? That's my point.
The abuse of power will not stop unless the judiciary steps in at all levels and stops this nonsense what is going on. My dear friend is rightly talking about rule of law. But the rule of law must equally apply to everybody in the country. Today there is no rule of law. And we have seen in Shah Rukh Khan's son's case, for example, the FIR said that he had no narcotics on him. He was arrested, he was remanded, he was denied bail for 30 days. Now, this kind of nonsense in the country has to stop. People who have made statements saying that Gaddaro ko maro goli, no action is taken against them. So I think, and this is something very disturbing. While sending a powerful message through these two very fantastic professional officers to the world, we have allowed the world to laugh at us by condoning the statements of this Minister of Madhya Pradesh. The world will wonder what kind of governance.
The fact is there is an SIT in his case. The judges have called it a national shame. My bigger worry is the abuse of power and thereby the restrictions on free speech. Today it is Ali Khan. Tomorrow it could be anyone else in this country. That is my worry. And the judges, by the time they decide whether it's sedition, the police has already arrested the individual.
Rajdeep, if anybody thinks that there is a strong and sustainable rule of law in this country, he is sadly mistaken. It is singularly absent today in our society. Okay. And, selectively justice is being meted out. And I've been saying that for a long, long time. We have to therefore educate the judiciary. We have to, ensure that judiciary really acts as checks on the executive and the legislative powers, which is not happening. We have seen.
Let me leave it there. Let me leave it there. I think we've heard strong words from all. And clearly this is an issue which we hope that the judiciary will pass a reasoned order so that that order becomes exemplary in all such cases. That's the least we can hope. But I appreciate my guest joining me here on my talking point. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we've listened to my panelists. Let me, for a change, also give you my take because I feel very strongly on this issue of free speech. The arrest of Ali Khan Mahmudabad shows up all that is wrong with state and civil society. For the Haryana State Commission of Women to rush in to file a complaint on completely specious grounds was an affront to the concept of free speech. For the Haryana police to then arrest without due process is a brazen abuse of an individual's right to life and liberty. For Ashoka University to stay silent right through rather than stand by the professor reveals how fear can throttle liberal minds. That there are those still questioning the patriotism of the professor reveals a more chilling aspect. Yes, if your surname is Khan, you can be a victim of extreme prejudice at times. Indeed, we live in strange times. A BJP minister in Madhya Pradesh can get away with the most commonly loaded and sexist remarks against army officers with a mere apology until the High Court steps in. But a professor who is seen to be critical of government must instantly face the wrath of law. This isn't the rule of law, my friends. This smacks of autocratic behavior. The Supreme Court needs to draw the lines between right and wrong more clearly. Free speech must allow ample space for the right to dissent. Being anti-government is not equal to being anti-India. Think about it. India's global outreach to brief world powers on Operation Sindoor and expose Pakistan's link to terror has officially begun. The team led by JDU MP Sanjay Jha was the first to leave today. This delegation travels to Indonesia, Malaysia, Korea, Japan and Singapore. A second team led by Shiv Sena Shrikant Shinde also left. They will cover UAE, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sierra Leone and Liberia. Other teams, including the one led by Shashi Tharoor to the United States, will be traveling later this month or early next month. Meanwhile, all of this against the backdrop, remember, of Donald Trump, whose comments have repeatedly, in a way, created some kind of a haze over India's efforts to tell the world what really happened between India and Pakistan. How should one deal with Trump is a question we are repeatedly asking. This is a question I raised earlier with John Bolton, the former National Security Advisor to President Donald Trump between 2018 and 19. Appreciate your joining us here, Mr. Bolton. Donald Trump is making the headlines in India for the manner in which he virtually arrogated for himself, Mr. Bolton, credit for that ceasefire between India and Pakistan. How should we in India understand Donald Trump, particularly in the context of his involvement in the subcontinent?
Well, I think this is typical Donald Trump. In other words, this is the way he behaves with respect to pretty much everybody. He wants to be the center of attention. He thinks he should be the center of attention. As far as I can tell, being an outside observer, I think Trump and J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio were making calls and hope to bring about a peaceful resolution of the dispute between India and Pakistan. So I'm sure there were a lot of other foreign leaders trying to do the same. So everybody gets a little credit. Most credit goes to India and Pakistan for doing it themselves. But the fact that Trump didn't wait for statements from New Delhi or Rawalpindi shouldn't be surprising. He wanted to shape the story, and that's what he did. So, as they say in The Godfather, nothing personal, but typical Trump.
You're saying typical Trump, but what's interesting, Mr. Bolton, you were NSA when Balakot happened in 2019. India did their airstrikes then on Pakistan in the aftermath of Pulwama. At that time, Donald Trump was not so directly involved in the action. He wasn't the one bringing the two countries directly together. Now in 2025, he's trying to take credit. What's the difference, you think, between 2019 and 2025, Mr. Bolton?
Well, I remember that night in 2019 very well. In fact, we were in Hanoi getting ready for President Trump's meeting with Kim Jong-un, the second meeting with North Korea's leader between the two of them, when I was informed in a call by then Secretary of Defense Mark Esper, really Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Joe Dunford, that things were heating up between India and Pakistan. Mike Pompeo and I were both in Hanoi in preparation for the meeting with Kim Jong-un the next day, and we were on the phone with a number of people, including Ajit Doval, Prime Minister Modi's national security advisor, and officials in Pakistan, as were our colleagues back in Washington at the Defense Department. And that situation calmed down fairly quickly. I think it's safe to say we were up late in the night in Hanoi, and we didn't wake President Trump up. We told him about it the next morning. So that could explain the difference between 2019 and 2025.
So was there therefore in 2025, you believe, Mr. Bolton, a real fear of an escalating India-Pakistan conflict, including the fear that two nuclear neighbors could be raising the stakes immeasurably? Was that the reason you believe Donald Trump and his team this time were far more proactive?
Well, it's conceivable. I mean, the exchange of military action did go further than in 2019. Whether it was really about to go to a much higher level remains unclear. I do think that the government of Pakistan indicated that the breakthrough came when their top military official called his Indian counterpart and said, let's arrange a ceasefire here. So it really took place not through international diplomatic efforts so much as a direct contact between the two militaries.
Now, Mr. Bolton, you've always said India has the right to self-defense, and this is recognized by the United States, that if India chooses to strike at terror bases in Pakistan, India will get support from large sections of Washington. Am I right in that analysis? You believe India has a right to self-defense against terror?
Yes, I think that's well within anybody's definition of the right to self-defense.
Let me, come to another issue. How should the world look at the Pakistan-China nexus? You see, many are worried that this is a nexus building up. We've had the Chinese and the fear is that China is the one which is propping up, goading Pakistan, arming it militarily. What should be done? Do you believe that China is a threat to stability in this part of the world, Mr. Bolton?
I don't think there's any question about it. In fact, I think the danger globally is the building China-Russia axis, like the Sino-Soviet alliance of the Cold War, except this time China's in charge. And I think it's a threat because of Chinese hegemonic aspirations all along its Indo-Pacific periphery. Certainly, I think it's a threat to the U.S. and its interest in the region. It's particularly a threat to India, which has, as you well know, a long and contested land border with China, and with Pakistan, an opportunity to China to outflank India on the west. So I think we should be looking at a variety of things. I think keeping the Asian Security Quad, Japan, India, Australia, and the U.S. very active is a good place to start. I think there are a number of other things we should be doing bilaterally. And I've said many times before this attack that I think the U.S.-Indian bilateral relationship is, from our perspective, the most important one for the rest of this century. So we need there's a lot of work to do here.
You're saying the Indo-U.S. relationship is one of the most important. I want to rewind to where we started off with Donald Trump and compare him to Donald Trump. Donald Trump when you were NSA and now Donald Trump 2.0. Are we seeing Donald Trump wanting to play a more active role in settling conflicts across the world? One day he's speaking to the Russian president and the Ukrainian president. He's just made a major trip to the Middle East. Is Donald Trump 2.0 different in the way he wants to settle these conflicts compared to what he was doing in his first term?
Well, I think he wants a Nobel Peace Prize, whether for solving the Ukraine war, solving the war in the Middle East, solving tensions between India and Pakistan. I mean, whatever it takes. So be careful what you want if he decides to get involved in it. I think it is more an example of Donald Trump doesn't follow an overall national security strategy. It's what attracts his attention at any given time, and I think you can expect that very transactional approach to foreign affairs that he's just demonstrated during the Middle East trip to apply in the case of the bilateral India-U.S. relationship as well. I wish it were more on broader strategic concepts, but I think that's unlikely for the remainder of Trump's term.
John Bolton there for joining me. Appreciate your joining me. You can watch that full interview on our India Today global site, the entire detailed interview with John Bolton.